So those are all things that were already up and running before we knew there was going to be a President Obama or a Recovery Act. Now, what are we trying to do with that money? So just quickly, the numbers. We think, our analysis shows that we're going to get probably, about $200 million of WIA funds. That's more than double. Well, that's WIA and reemployment funds. We're kind of putting them in the same basket. That's more than double what we currently have. So we're going to get a lot of money. The breakdown is, it's roughly 30 million and change for adults, 70 million for dislocated workers, 72 million for youth, and then about 23 million for reemployment. So a lot more money, and our challenge is going to be how to utilize those funds effectively. The governor established a task force to oversee the overall recovery effort, not just the workforce stuff, but that's part of it. And that task force is meeting on a weekly basis, and we're participating. We're having weekly calls with our local WIB directors as we begin to get their input in terms of what they need and the types of planning, and we give them all the information we have in real time as quickly as possible. So we're informing the field as quickly as we are informed about what's happening in terms of how the money's coming down, what are the strings attached to it, et cetera. We're looking to modify our ITA policy. One of the things that we've been able to do over the last year and a half is we merged our WIA and Wagner-Peiser systems. We no longer have them siloed. They are one system. It's long overdue, but we finally got to it in New York State. Now we want to make sure that individuals, when they're dealing with dislocated workers, have the ability to utilize all the tools at their disposal, despite what funding stream they might be paid from. So we are going to implement a policy where Wagner-Peiser paid New York State staff will be able to issue ITAs going forward, not just WIA staff. And that's absolutely essential because it's just, it's completely, unconscionable for a dislocated worker to come into a system to deal with a Wagner-Peiser funded individual and then have to go somewhere else to actually get the tool, the ITA, the resources they need to pursue training and education. So we're pursuing that very aggressively. We're also going to be looking at modifying our ITA policies. Again, local control, they vary considerably throughout our state. We're going to try to set some guidelines to bring some consistency across the system and also up the amount, because one of the great weaknesses, as you all know, is the ITAs have been woefully inadequate for individuals to actually pursue real skills training. We're going to seek waivers related to WIA funding, and this is on our need to stabilize and create jobs. So we're going to seek waivers of WIA funding to support public sector employment. It's going to be a big reach, but we're going to go for it. And then we're seeking waivers to support our temp effort as well. We're going to we're drafting as we speak grant opportunities, anticipating the money coming in. So we want to get ahead of the RFP process. We want to get the RFPs out, and then we'll sort out what buckets of money we can use. So we'll be doing incumbent worker, new RFPs on incumbent workers. We have a current program. Because it uses public resources, we do require employers to increase compensation for incumbent workers that are trained using those scarce public resources. That's not a good fit with the current economic crisis. We recognize that. We're going to come out with a new RFP that basically, if you keep your job, that's okay. And that'll be the outcome. We're going to do something for older workers, individuals with limited English proficiency, ex-offenders. These are all things that are already moving. And again, we're looking at layoff aversion much more comprehensively. Already working on this before the Recovery Act, but it's something we're beefing up as part of our rapid response activities. We want to bring a capacity to our state to identify firms in distress long before warn notices, long before layoffs occur, to provide resources for incumbent worker training, technology upgrade. We have to access other economic development funds to do that. We want to provide an option for employees to consider ESOPs, if that's a direction they want to go in, something to stabilize the business sector and help as many firms as we can through our layoff aversion efforts. So we're going to move a lot more training dollars to the system too. I talked about the state level training voucher program. We're going to develop MOUs with our higher education facilities. This is the sort of the contracted, buying blocks of training capacity. We think that's one of the more promising aspects of the Recovery Act, so we're not going to be as limited as we have in the past, that individuals have an ITA attached to their back and they go and access a community college or training provider. We're going to be able to buy blocks of capacity and feed people into that. That's a big improvement from our perspective, and we know that many of the advocates in this room have been pushing that, so we finally got it after a long time. In terms of our local efforts, we're in conversation with community colleges and our Voc Tech people. We're going to encourage the local areas to, on their own, increase the ITA amounts as we try to support them. We're surveying our training providers, and we're offering alternative sites, because now, as we all know, we've had real struggle maintaining our basic infrastructure, and there's just not enough facilities. There's not enough one-stops in the system to deal with the magnitude of the numbers of the unemployed. So we're going to try to open up satellite facilities, public libraries, wherever it makes sense, as we staff up. And we started to staff up in part because New York State was an historic slow spender. And when I came to the system about 1.5 years ago, we've been staffing up pretty aggressively and are now doing even more so in terms of the hiring we're doing directly, but we're encouraging all the local areas, of course, to hire now, hire yesterday. It's a big challenge, though, because in our state, I'm sure it's the same in many of your states, the local areas have a serious hiring freeze for the most part. So I'll be doing a Rob Robin tour of our state the next couple weeks, to sitting down with local elected officials, encouraging them to waive that restriction in terms of positions that are funded by the Recovery Act dollars. And we got to get that moving quickly, because we simply don't have enough facilities or staff to deal with the current crisis. So those are some of the things we're looking at in terms of what New York State's up to. It's very much, as you can tell, a work in process. And we encourage, dialogue and ideas. We're willing to steal any good idea we hear. So please put those forward. Thanks.